Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Internet, and welcome to the Tech Off Topic podcast. As this has been actively told in the past, this is an award winning podcast where professionals do professional things. That is a lie. So, yes, we are back again. This time, I have got the joy of having a conversation with somebody that one, lives in my time zone, makes it very, very convenient for planning, and two, is very interesting. I've never had a conversation with him where I haven't gone, what? But I am going to be bullying him today because he is the PHP shill, the true one and only PHP shill that I know. So I'm going to drag him in and let him introduce yourself. Say hello.
Hello. Hey, mate. Thanks for having me. What can I
Introduce
say?
yourself to the internet and the peoples.
Internet peoples. I am Steve McDougall, otherwise known as Just Steve King. I do lots of open source in the PHP space. I'm DevRel at Treble, and I write for PHP Architect.
As I said, the PHP shill. The only thing he shills harder than PHP is Laravel.
Yes. I'm pretty sure my Laravel. No, that's my Dutch Laravel elephant. That's that didn't like the sound of
Oh my lord! I have regional equivalents.
that. I've got way too many elephants. They tend to fall off.
I only have like 3. I've got a True North, like the old mammoth one they produced.
Yep, I've got that.
A PHP Architects and a Laravel's. That's it.
Yep. Did you not get? Oh no, that's some random one. Let's see. There's a super special PHP Storm one that you can get.
Yeah, that would rely on me actively using and encouraging any form of JetBrains IDE.
That is true. Let me guess. VS Code or NeoVim? You got to be one
VS
of those.
Code, but the only reason I don't like PHP Storm and the others is because I fell out in hate of them in the early days when they were still essentially an Eclipse clone and just memory hogged everything. And unfortunately, that was like 9 years ago, and I just never come back.
See, I was in the exact same boat, and I, like you, detoured to VS Code, thinking I just need something lightweight. And it worked really well for me until I started working on larger applications and lots of different libraries, and I needed that IDE stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to have to give it a go. But it was around the same time as Silicon came out. So,
to be far, IDs have come a long way. Like, we all used to think, oh, they're only thing, and now they're essentially text editors on steroids. VS Code, which is, I'm going to feel a little bit sick and have to admit, it is essentially just an Electron app. Like, I know it's a very, very, very customized Electron build, but it's an Electron app. It's fucking JavaScript.
It is literally just jQuery for the desktop.
Hang on, isn't that Aspen?
Oh, no, that's native. That's native query.
We'll get on to that in a moment, but yes. Yeah, we have already done the tech off topic thing, and I have gone tangential and lost the plot already.
Well, my work here is done.
And we now have people in the chat who will also be making it more tangential for us. And sorry, there is no ooh and other things because this is professional for once. Oh my god, jQuery 4 is coming out?
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Right. I'm one of the people who still thinks jQuery actually has a genuine place in the world. And I don't mean just in a backward compatibility place. There's a reason that jQuery just works, right? It simplifies some of the really, really, really abstract, weird shit that the browser JavaScript gives you.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a place for it.
It's like, again, I think Kubernetes is not the solution to everything.
Right? It's got to be modular, where you can pull in the aspects that you need.
Mm-hmm. But there is just something deeply wrong with the idea of jQuery still being the primary way of doing it. Just because
Yeah.
I remember jQuery when I was like 2 years into my career going, oh my God, you mean I don't have to do these ActiveX queries? Meh. And that was
Oh yeah, when I first started, it was like, wow, that's so much easier. But then it was like, it's easier, but I hate writing it. That might have just been the JavaScript, though.
You say this, but I know for a fact they're going to have to start doing JavaScript soon. I know you're going to be doing Python and Go, but you're going to have to do JavaScript. I'm sorry, the ecosystem requires it. Blood for the blood gods.
We hire for JavaScript. We're going to be hiring for JavaScript. Me writing JavaScript is a little bit like asking an amputee to paint a picture. It's probably possible, but not a good idea. You'll just make a lot of mess.
You know I write mainly JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is absolutely and utterly correct. Okay, right.
I
you know what?
Do JavaScript.
Steve has essentially only been allowed to be here for shilling his company hard. To be fair, he also works in DevRel, so that's pretty much what we get paid to do for a living. But it does mean that they on the topics list for today, there are some interesting ones that I just know that me and Steve will actually have a conversation about and probably Google crap. One that I'm very just interested in Steve's take, and the rest is entirely about treble.
Yay! I'm the developer equivalent to the sellout these days, right?
Don't hurt me like that. Don't hurt me. It's punishment.
You've been a sellout longer.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening, not watching, the face I pulled was that of severe pain of kicking a table with your big toe. Wasn't good. Right. Okay. So we'll get it out of the way because I want to pick on you for it anyway. Aspen. Now, Aspen to most people is a mountain range. Now it's a piece of crappy Mac software.
It's not crappy. It's just not fully featured yet.
Okay. I'm like, I've installed it. I haven't used it yet because I've not done the API dev in the last week, and it's only been around for like 9 days in the wild.
Yeah, something like that. 9 days. No, it's not long.
So everything I've been doing has been SDK dev or okay. Why would I use a API tool if I'm writing an SDK to do the integrations? Yes, not chance yet. So explain to the ladies and gentle germs what Aspen is. Why the hell is it called Aspen?
Yeah.
In all that jazz.
I'm going to start with the why. So our boss's dog is called Aspen, and it doesn't like mailmen, as we're going to call it. Seemed like a cool name as it's an alternative to Postman. It's local, lightweight, native, so it's fast, privacy focused, so it all just stores everything locally, and it's got a little bit AI built in, so that you can kind of, contextually just, make a request. Now, so how can I write a test for this in test PHP or Jest or whatever it is you might be testing with these days? Kind of useful, but there's, admittedly, there's a long way to go. It's Mac native only, minimal features right now. We just wanted to get that beta out there, so people have got an option, and I use it quite a lot actually. Not just because I work there, I've got to use it because I work there, but I also use it because it's actually quite useful. Like when I get a request back, it's like, do I want to go through and create a DTO or a value object for this request? The response that's come back, honestly, I cannot be bothered. So I'll use Aspen. I'll open up the AI integration, which is called Alfred, and I'll just go, just create me a value object in PHP using PHP 8.3. So I've got read-only properties, blah, 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 blah. Create some enums if I need them, and bang, got the code, cool. Lazy web, perfect.
Right. One, I'm still trying to
It's
work out
useful for that.
why the AI? Because like I'm well, like no. Correct question. Is
Yeah,
it
we've got to get
local
investment
or
somehow, right?
oh god, is this the blockchain AI? If you put the buzzword in money, money, money.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's literally just because it's a really useful way to kind of enhance it. So, I've just sent a request, I got the response back, I can understand that response. Now, what can I do with it? Do I want to generate some code, generate some tests? Do I want to, create a JSON schema so I can validate from it? What steps do I want after I've made that request?
Okay.
That's what the AI is for.
Sensible question. Local or remote AI?
It is remote currently. We are going to be working on our own LLM, as everybody is, but at the moment it's just a remote GPT app that kind of does GPT, but it's been customized for its use case, and the only context is that one request.
So how graceful is it if you're doing local dev with very little internet?
I probably wouldn't suggest it at that point.
As
If
somebody
you're
who
using
works
very
in
little
trains,
internet.
planes, and hotels where you can't reliably rely on the internet, is like, but does the feature that makes this worth having actually work when the internet is crap?
I live in Wales and I still use it.
You live in Wales, there's a time machine to go to your place.
Yeah, exactly. I've got to kind of sign an agreement with a temporal fucking order saying, no, I am not going to spoil future secrets by going to Wales. So I never leave.
That's a lie. I've seen you now in Berlin, Birmingham, and other places.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't see me in Sweden, though. I had fun in Sweden.
But okay, so AI makes sense. Aspen, get the name. I also get the reason why Treble's made it, because Treble is
Yeah.
right. I'm not going to lie. I still think the word you're using is incorrect as a company branding. The observability for APIs, only because there's literally a infra principle called observability, which that is not what Treble does.
No, we're kind of like observability for the HTTP transport for your API.
Yeah, but that makes absolute sense. But but then that's not observability.
No, it's not full observability from a DevOps perspective, but it's kind of, we're going to observe the HTTP network and we're going to kind of give you the information that's useful. We are expanding what we capture, but it's, we want to make sure we capture things in the right way and not just go, okay, we're going to Datadog it and just kind of suck all of your information into this massive pipe and just know everything about your applications.
And then charge you $1 million at the end of it because you can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could quite easily do that. I've built an agent that will allow us to do that if we wanted to, but ethically, I don't think we want to. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's not very useful. Having all that data is great from a company perspective, but have you ever tried to get anything useful out of something like Datadog?
Yes, because I used to work for an observability company, Logs.io, and there is a lot of tooling for doing that. But there's a weird thing: too little data for that sort of thing, you get nothing. Too much data, it takes too much time to get something.
Yeah,
there is a
and that's
spot.
what we're trying to find, that right balance right now.
Yeah, and I actually really like the idea of Treble. I just think somebody needs to find some new marketing naming convention for this stuff, because we already have the problem in software engineering where we cannibalize terms from other parts that then means that convoluted doesn't make sense. It's like somebody needs to come up with a term that properly describes this that we can use.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally a fan of naming everything something Star Trek related because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, but we'll see. We'll see if it actually catches. We could turn our SDKs into transporters. We could turn.
No, because then we'd have to rename all the paradigms to pattern buffers.
No, I like that.
And then the horrible thing is, then you get to when somebody breaks the paradigm. Was it lost in the buffer?
Was it lost in the buffer?
Well, let's put it this way: we had Scotty in the buffer for
the confinement theme.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And it's when somebody
I
brings
watched
back
too much
fuse
Star
box
Trek.
architecture because that one was stuck in the buffer for a while. Oh, that's terrible, 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 terrible.
Speaking
Terrible.
of Star Trek, I was actually building a CLI app yesterday, trying to recreate the UI from Star Trek with Lacars, or however you meant to say
I
it.
was supposed to say you were making CLI Lacars.
Yep.
Or LCars, I think it is.
And what it does, it monitors my CPU, my memory, my disk, my Docker containers, and everything. It's just a full screen terminal app that just opens, and each one's kind of ticking on its own, monitoring everything. It's kind of fun.
Did you use ASCII art to make the block colors?
No, I'm using Go and I'm using Charm CLI. So I've got a lot of kind of options where it comes to the terminal.
Okay. There is we've been given the acronym. That doesn't help us work out how to pronounce it. That's just the lettering for it. We know it's that. And I you know what? I'm never going to be able to live down the fact that Ollie is saying that we're too nerdy. Ollie has more Gundam than me, and I am a colossal weeb.
This is next level nerdery. Well, we've gone the nerdery approach instead of kind of like the geekery by talking about, painting models and that stuff with Warhammer.
Oh,
we've gone the tech route, not the nerd.
Have you open sourced your CLI? I do believe that requires to be shared, especially as I know what that CLI is for. It's for your new home lab. So we'll talk about that next.
Yes.
Because my
network keeps dipping out. I do apologize.
That's fine. Steve has done the terrible thing of doing home experimentations publicly on Twitter, which means people have been giving opinions, including myself.
Yeah. So, there's so many opinions out there for home stuff, but it's fun.
In reality, what's ended up happening is I've done both. So I recommend Steve to use Unraid, but I'm pretty sure you haven't. I'm pretty sure you've gone down the Proxmox route.
But I'm planning on the Proxmox route. I'm actually tracking my my first entry into the home lab, which is on its way today, which is this nice little Lenovo desktop that I can just tweak.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody should have a home server and a home lab, because doing stuff on your work machine and accidentally bricking it is a bad idea. Have I bricked previous Ubuntu builds by just fecking around a little bit too much inside? Yes. And I currently now run two machines.
We've all been
so
there.
I have an old workstation that's a NAS with Unraid, which is why I recommended to Steve to use Unraid. It deals with block storage so much better, and it does have full Docker support, so you can just leave the long-running Docker apps there. So, that's where my dashboard lives, because I use Homar. That's where the conversation will be going. But then I have a tiny little old thin client HP thing from 8 years ago, which is my K3S box that I throw shit, and when it breaks, I just turn it off and turn it on again. So
that's
what
kind
are
of
you
like my
planning
plan. I'm just going to try and fix my network quickly. I keep getting robot voice.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, fixing it in production.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a kind of the Google home Wi-Fi, and it's going to prioritize my device.
Are you not a wired network person?
Eventually, I will hear you correctly, because at the minute you just sound like a really bad Star Trek character. Like if the Borg were running on Windows 98.
Jesus Christ.
Prepare to be assimilated. Oh, Windows reboot. There's an update.
Prepare to be assimilated. You're saved by a blue screen of death.
Prepare to be clipped.
Okay, this year I'm going to do an entire slide deck of clippies. Okay, right. So, what is it you're going to be doing with your home lab? I am curious because you built a dashboard for it already.
I've started building the dashboard. So the idea is that I just want somewhere I can kind of throw Docker containers, but also I need a NAS solution because I've had an issue with like my Google account for years that I just cannot get out of, where it won't allow me to make any payments using my Google account. So I can't upgrade my Google photo storage because they won't let me pay for it. And I've almost ran out of storage and I can't really do much with it. So I'm just going to download all my photos, stick them on a NAS and hope for the best. But also there's like, now that I'm in DevRel, I do lots of videos and that sort of stuff. And when I'm in my office, I'm using my Mac Studio, which is great. It's really fast. Then I might want to do some kind of tweaking and editing on my laptop when I'm not in my office. So I need somewhere to kind of sync that as well. So, I need a NAS. I could have just bought a NAS, but what's the point in just buying a NAS when you can go for a home lab?
Well, it depends on how stable you want everything. Like if NAS is the primary reason, then there's a reason why products like TrueNAS exist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have a TrueNAS thing going on somewhere. I just haven't figured out where yet.
Recommendation from what I have seen from TrueNAS, do not run TrueNAS virtually. Use TrueNAS as the base and then put stuff on top of it.
We'll see. I might just have to buy a second computer for it.
Why do you think I have two?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one I bought, it was like 75 quid off of Amazon. It's, an i5, 8 gig of RAM, 500 gigabyte HDD, which I can then swap out for kind of SSDs and stuff. And I'm going to see what I can do with it. But right now, I just need to get it up so I can reclaim some Google space to be able to receive emails properly.
Yeah. I must admit, mine is an old workstation PC, so it's a dual CPU Xenon thing, and now has like 14 terabytes. Because it's just you can just dump everything to it. Hang on. It's been dumping my time machines to it. It's suddenly got real full real quick.
You back up your computer? I've never backed up my computer.
All of my computers get backed up to here. There's a streamer called Finite Singularity. Excellent streamer. If you haven't seen him before, you should definitely do. He's a Python dev, but he's also getting very, very good at OBS plugin development. Man is OBS god at this point.
Yeah, awesome.
He's also massively hilarious. And one of the things he used to do is he used to have really interactive overlays where the words, brain, thank you. He would have clones of himself, aka video elements of himself recorded as a cowboy, as a skater that came in and interacted with him. The problem is that meant his streams were amazing.
Yeah.
And then his NVMe SSD died and he hadn't backed up a sodding thing. He lost all these ridiculously space consuming interactive elements. Oh no, and trust me, the entire community around Finite was very upset when this happened because it's all the funniest bits. For those of you who are wondering who I'm talking about, this gentleman.
And here, I'm just sending a link to what I just bought.
Okay, yeah. And so yes, I now back up everything. My streaming PC, which pretty much does nothing other than stream and play games, that's backed up. Both my work and my personal Mac backed up. And my home lab is backed up to my NAS. I do feel that that's slightly redundant in backing up the home lab.
A little bit. it's like backing up your backups. Like in terms of kind of having a disaster recovery plan, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's a home lab.
Yeah. But I also don't want to have to, like, configuring things is hard and takes a while. And I'm not going to lie, my home lab, I didn't use Ansible or anything. So I'm lazy. I don't want to have to reconfigure it when I can just dump a backed up ISO back onto the machine.
Like I've seen people kind of virtualize and then just kind of create, just as a server they can connect to. They can spin up Docker containers and they use a server as, a NAS or file storage, a network file storage that they can connect to. Like, I'm not sure which way I want to go with it, because virtualization sounds like the best approach, but at the same time, it's like, would I not be better just using server?
No, virtualization all the way, every time.
But why?
That's a good point. It's just habitual now.
Yeah, it's like, it's a small computer that I'm buying. Why don't I just turn it into a server? And if suddenly I'm like, oh, I need additional server stuff, get 75 quid, I'll get another one. Buy a network switch as well, to start, taking over the house with technology.
All right, the machine that Steve has acquired, I'm going to just drop the link into chat and then, yeah. Oh, no, that's the wrong chat. Oh, professional knowing which chat I'm dropping it into, is a tiny, like, thin client work machine.
It's a tiny mini business desktop computer.
Yes, which is perfect for that sort of scenario. And now I'm just going like, the problem that those things have, because I've tried, where you just replace the hard drive with multiple SSDs to increase capacity, like stack terabytes of SSD inside the 3.5-inch slot. And my brain just went, you could just have a JBOD. Like, are you aware of what a JBOD is?
Not a fucking clue.
JBOD is a server name. It literally is an acronym that stands for just a bunch of disks. It is a server that does nothing other than pass through SAS and SATA connectors to other servers. And my brain just went, tiny little workstation machine on top of giant server, which is just a JBOD. It's like, that is the definition of kludging together home lab stuff.
It's a true nature of home lab, right? I mean, this comes with Windows installed, but I think we both know that's going to be removed straight away.
Yeah.
Because I need to get a new phrase, and I use Arch, by the way. It's going to be my new one, I think.
You're an Arch user?
Vim, I'm feeling the pull towards that kind of geeky, nerdy superiority complex that I need right now.
Okay. My brain cannot deal with the fact that you're a Mac user and an Arch user at the same time. It's like, how hipster as fuck can you get? I run a Mac Studio for doing fucking dev. Nobody needs fucking Mac Studio for dev. And then follow that with, I'm going to compile everything from source because only 50% of the packages are in Arch compatibility.
Well, I'm not. I had a Costa, not a Starbucks. So I'm like this cheap hipster.
You do have the beard for it.
I do have the beard. I don't have much else.
You do have the beard. You have the very obvious forearm tattoos, same as me. It's the reason I fit into the looks like a hipster category. If you wore a flannel shirt and like a skull cap beanie, absolutely fit in.
Right, off to Amazon again.
Next time I see you in Berlin, I know exactly what to look for.
My laptop's actually a MacBook Air M2. So the Mac Studio was bought by work because they wanted me on a machine that they'd purchased. Before that, I was on an M1 Mini, which was fine. But they said I needed one that they bought. So they gave me a budget. I was like, well, I could get a Mac Studio M2 Max for that. So let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't work for a startup, it appears silly money still is a thing. Well, to
It
be
is.
fair, you got hired by Treble a while ago when ghost money was more available.
Yeah. Like, I didn't need this machine, but I'm not turning it down.
True, but you also do some basic video editing, and now that is the place where I do believe Mac Studios and things like that do need to exist. Ridiculous
Yeah.
amounts of memory connected very closely to a GPU.
Yeah, it's crazy good, this Mac Studio. Like, for video editing, I never get issues. There's no frame drops, no nothing.
Okay, but I am going to ask a sensible question. Ladies and gentlemen, both me and Steve work in developer tooling, essentially. Developer tooling is part of developer experience, is part of what we do. We're developing SDKs is developer tooling.
Me and Micro Tools.
He's not wrong. But the question is going to be, what actual hardware do engineers need? Because I know there's a thing with startups, etc., where you just throw hardware at the problem, but that's not the solution, because considering your Mac is not what is, well, the specs of your Mac and the virtualization you have in there is not what's going to be in the data center you ship your code to. And if you're building apps, like small shippable apps like Aspen, you're literally trying to make it run on hardware that's a potato.
So I was a dev for years before I became a DevRel, and I've only been a DevRel for like 8-9 months. You know, an M1 Mac, perfectly acceptable. As long as you got, I think, 16 gig of RAM and a modern processor, you're fine, because you need that for running containers. Beyond that, it doesn't matter what you're on.
Yeah, but like, because the reason I ask is because like there's becoming another resurgence of remote IDEs. Like there's a company called Daytona, which you're probably aware of because the Croatian connection.
Yeah,
and
but
there's
remote IDEs. No, they're never going to take off. They're hot topic, spicy take. Here we go. They're just like cryptocurrency. Great idea, great concept. Is never going to go anywhere because people don't actually own anything. It's you're borrowing some kind of virtual space. In terms of kind of company risk and anything like that, if all of your code is being written, maintained on a virtual environment that you don't own, in the terms and conditions, does it say that you own that code, or who owns that code, right? You got to read those terms and conditions really carefully, because if you're writing it on a virtual IDE in someone else's environment, and any code written in that environment is, the intellectual property of the company who runs that service, then be careful.
That's true. I must admit, there's a lot of people, and I've even done this myself. I've done hot fixes via GitHub Workspaces. Like,
yeah,
I've been in a place where it's like, oh crap, I don't have time to set up everything, clone, do it. I've just made sure I'm authenticated, gone into GitHub, hot fixed, and put it into PR so somebody else can double check and ship.
I've actually done a hotfix for a production service from my phone using the GitHub website, just editing the file through a GitHub website and just committing it from my phone.
So you're right, it's worked. And like, to be fair, for certain places like countries where buying newer hardware, like there are huge dev shops in India where they've got 50 to 100 devs working remotely from places. But the price of importing high-end Apple equipment for doing it, they could probably afford to bring in one to then do a build machine, and then everybody else is on Linux operating systems.
Yeah.
The workspaces and those remote things don't sound like a terrible idea when they can just offload the cost elsewhere.
Yeah.
But you're right. What happens when that service, like the VC money runs out and they've not become profitable and they just pull the plug? Or in the case of GitHub, when it all gets into Chat GPT without your fucking permission.
Yeah, exactly, right. The last thing you want to do is you got, as a company, you got to protect against that sort of stuff, and you got to think about that. You can save costs and not have to buy such a powerful machine, but unless you've got a super stable internet connection, then it's going to be just as unreliable as doing it locally.
So it appears that not just me and Steve are tools, but so are remote IDEs.
Yep, they are. They are definitely tools. And while it's probably fun to work with and definitely a cool technology, realistically, I wouldn't use it.
Okay. That is fair. And you know what? On the topic of Apple, I'm going to bring up the non-coding topic that I wanted to, because I really want to talk to somebody about this. Like, it's been a thing. I don't know if you've been watching the coverage of it. The Apple Vision Pro.
I have not. Let me go to your notes because I've not actually, I've kind of seen it, but I've not paid attention because I'm an Android guy other than my computers. Yeah, I've been Linux since
Google Pixel have been Pixel since it was Nexus.
Yeah, same.
So no, I agree with that. But I'm also if it wasn't for the fact that the glasses means that I can't, and my prescription means I can't use VR for a prolonged period of time very well, because all the ones that are big enough to fit over it are ridiculously uncomfortable to wear.
Oh no, the Meta Quest 2 is good. It's got an adapter for people who wear glasses, and you can buy like a separate band to put on the back so it sits on your head instead of straps to your eyes.
Ooh.
I'll send links.
That would, yes, because I've loved playing with friends VR kit because it's always fun, but I can do a maximum of like 20 minutes before it's uncomfortable because it's pinching my glasses into the side of my face or things like that. All those
I play a game called Gun Raiders. It's so much fun. It's like it's a PvP shooter game. Fun.
Now, but I'm now aware of where Steve gets rid of his rage.
Yeah, exactly. I used to finish work, spend time with the kids, put them to bed, then spend like an hour on VR just to kind of shoot people to get rid of any rage. That was how I deal with life, was just shooting people in a safe environment.
I'm really hoping there's no Americans watching right now.
Yeah, especially American school kids. Don't listen to Steve. Don't be like Steve.
Oh god. Anyway, yeah, but like, so when the Vision Pro came out, I was like, oh my god, Apple's just going to make an overpriced land grab for it.
Yeah.
The horrible thing is I've been watching the like the reviewers stuff coming out, like MKBHD and like Linus Tech Tips has their Mac channel that's done one as well. And the horrible thing is they've actually done some shit that's genuinely innovative. They've got the and it's weird and terrible as well, but like Apple's done, like, when was the last time you heard Apple do any, well, other than the M series of chips?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw like them do anything innovative with any of their hardware?
Nothing they've done's really innovative. It's blown up to be, innovative, but it's not. Like iPhones,
I will give them like early iPhones and stuff like that, where they like genuinely pushed everything forward. They created
an Apple take on the Windows Palm Pilot.
But yes, but they actually made hardware that didn't suck for you to do it with, which is one of the big reasons.
That's what Apple
does. Oh, BlackBerry had an app store as well. Yes, but it was also fucking terrible.
They did it really badly. Let's do it the Apple way and charge people more.
But like, no, they genuinely, I will give them, over the years, they have done periodic, genuinely, like, they were the first company to introduce proper biometrics in the form of the thumb scanners.
Yeah.
Like, which I actually do approve of.
Yeah.
Like local device security and privacy, absolutely. But like for the last 4 years, their phones, no change. Like, it's you mean the reskin of the same thing? Yeah,
we've changed the design by beveled edges on the phone.
Yeah, we rounded a corner. That is worth another $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers, Apple.
But they've actually done some stuff. So you've got a Meta Quest 2.
Yes.
I used to have an old Rift 2 kit.
Cool.
So that was the last one I bought for myself and realized, oh crap, I can't do this for long periods. There's no point me investing. That may be changing now. But they've done some really interesting things. Like they've removed the battery pack off the device. So any of the actually portable ones are usually having, like the MetaQuest 1 had it as well, where the weight balancing on the head was a little weird because of where the battery was.
It's the same with the MetaQuest 2, really. It's quite chunky and heavy, which is why there's a lot of kind of aftermarket accessories you can get to make it better.
But like they've done a thing where they've actually made it, the battery is wired into a pocket. It's designed to be in a pocket battery, so it's on your hips rather than on your head. Like they've done the Apple thing and they made it fucking proprietary, but the idea's good.
Not a bad idea, as long as it doesn't go the Samsung battery route and blow up occasionally. Because if you're playing a shooter game and you suddenly have an explosion on your hip,
that's just really good haptic feedback.
Yeah, it's a feature. It's not a bug.
It's a feature when you're missing half a leg afterwards and, severe acid lithium burns. But no, like,
VR to the real world.
And like the fact that like, because it's not, they're trying to make it behave like augmented reality rather than VR. Yeah. So they've invested a lot in the forward facing like camera arrays and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's really good because one of the problems I had with the Quest 1 is its AR stuff was kind of janky. Like it was fine when you were in complete VR, but the pass through, there was a noticeable lag, like enough to make me feel kind of motion sicky.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, I'm not on the AR train yet. I don't really understand a use case for it, but it's cool. But VR's, I'm more into VR than AR.
Really?
Yeah. Escapism is a lot better because, it's just, put the headset on and suddenly all the kids have disappeared and I don't have to look at them.
Did you never get the chance to play with the HoloLens at like events back in the day?
No.
Do you know what one is?
Nope.
Right. The HoloLens was the Microsoft augmented reality device. Okay. So it's a Snapdragon device which used kind of like the Google Glass level of holographic projection, but entirely filling your vision.
Okay.
And it was paired with usually relatively high-end gaming devices, so it would offload any digital asset rendering and then throw it up. It was bloody brilliant. I'm not going to lie. Like it did the like 3D overlay thing where it would give you an object and give you an internal construction of the object and stuff like that in real time. AR is flipping brilliant. It definitely feels like the future is here. There's no practical aspect of it I would ever use in my everyday life, but it's so cool. And I prefer that over VR.
Cool, but I'm much more kind of I'm not seeing any practical side to it yet. Beyond maybe, I don't know, medical science. AR is probably great for that.
Engineering,
fine. I'm not I'm a software engineer. If I could,
we're not really engineer people.
No, not really. No, I'm a script kiddie.
I did find out actually in North America, well, not North America in general, in Canada, we can't be called engineers.
Really?
Yes, in Canada, to be an engineer, you have to go and get examined and like pass qualifications and join. I like to call it a cult. It's not a cult. Yeah. It's essentially just a body for engineers, because in Canada they classified all engineers as people like civil engineers, road engineers, building engineers, architects. You are responsible for life, which means you can't call yourself an engineer unless you are known to not actively trying to kill people or are smart enough to not do it.
I mean, have you seen a Generation Z person without internet connection or Wi-Fi or apps?
Oh yeah, it's like watching something.
That's responsible for life, if you ask me.
Software engineers are the reason the latest generations don't kill us all.
Yeah, exactly. Even then, we still fail.
Okay, right.
Returning to my original joke.
And it's a full circle bad joke day.
Yes. I've been watching too much stand-up.
I'm planning to see Daniel Sloss in 2.5 weeks. So terrible, well, no, excellent, but aggressively bad for you stand-up is going to be another thing again.
Stand-up's just the best form of comedy.
No.
It's like you pay to potentially be bullied.
I go to conference and hang out with friends for that.
That's true. I don't have friends, but I do go to conferences.
Right, I'm going to let you get away with another bit of shill stuff.
Cool, let's do it.
Now, he's got something here that says PHP SDK version 2, and that is literally it. I'm assuming that's a treble thing.
Nope.
What?
It's a Steve thing.
It's a Steve thing?
Yeah, that's why it's under my GitHub, not anyone else's.
Why do you have an SDK that's just a PHP SDK? Is this the remote control of Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, look. Stop it, Ollie.
All right.
No, it's an SDK framework. So basically, PSR 18 compatible. So it's kind of, you build your SDK based on the classes that are there, and it's a quick and easy way to build SDKs.
Okay, so in reality, this is a framework for the development of API wrappers.
Yeah.
Okay, because I stand by it. Client wrappers are not SDKs; they're just part of SDKs.
Yes.
Yeah,
But people, if you call it a client wrapper, people are like, "Well, what's that?"
That is true. But okay, so I'm just quickly scanning it. I'm just loving the fact that all I can see is name spacing is just Steve. Because
but like, namespace everything.
It's actually quite clean. Now the question is, have you made any nomenclature or enforced opinions on this? Because like, in my opinion, you use a framework because it comes with pre-prescribed opinion.
Yeah, kind of. So my strong opinion is that, when you boot up your SDK and you go to a resource or a sub-resource, it enforces you to add it as methods, because magically calling a property is just bad. Even if it's like the original version, I think I used a DI container where it magically resolve from the container and then call the class. But I kind of went off of that because this sort of package shouldn't come with a container to start with. There's no need.
Yeah, that's a bit overkill.
But at the same time, magically calling things is just unreliable.
Yes, that is true. I am hoping you're going to extend the documentation, because there is, for a relative, and this is not to be mean at all, a relatively small framework. It's not overcooked at all.
No, it doesn't do much other than it's a nice wrapper around PSR 18, PSR 7, and PSR 17. That's the main aim, is that I wanted a nice wrapper around it and enforce a standard around how I think they should be built.
My thing is, I'm kind of wishing you would have an example.
Yeah,
I don't mean like the code examples. I mean nuts and bolts, how you do it way.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, for the old version, I had an example. For this one, I don't. I could probably build one, though, quite easily.
Yeah, just a single endpoint one, just so you've got like an example of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing an API review.
Ooh, who does those?
But yeah, no, it's one of those things. It's like, I love the idea of like frameworks that help teams develop by giving them a consistent set of rule sets to follow.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you this is the acronym format. It's snake or lower. It's snake or camel.
Yeah.
All these things are predefined. Like, I know some of those are language defined, but yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, but when you're trying to teach people, it's always like giving, weirdly enough, I don't know about you, but I don't read the documentation until after I've started.
Same.
So like it's always
a test of developer experience. So if you've got to read the docs and it's not intuitive enough.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was just like, maybe an example. That'd be great.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I know I need to do, but at the same time, it's like
priority number 50,000,001.
Yeah, basically.
No, okay. But I still like it. Now the question is, considering the company you work for, considering what you like doing for fun, are you going to make it in other tools? Not just PHP, because I know you're doing PHP because one, fanboy, and two, it's you're using the PSR 18 standard.
Yeah.
I'm assuming PSR 18 is it backward compatible with 17 as well? I can't remember.
No, PSR 17 is the
Grunt's the 17 one, isn't it?
Request and stream factory interfaces.
Yeah.
PSR 18 is a HTTP client interface.
Yeah, I remember there being something about Guzzle in its raw form isn't 100% 18 compliant.
It's not. They implement their own kind of client contract, which kind of follows PSR 18, but in their own way.
Yeah, which means if you try and use any of the defined automagic from 18, is it not automagic, but like standards, it will break in Guzzle periodically.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm relearning all this because I'm getting around to rewriting our PHP SDK again.
Yay! My favorite hobby.
Refactoring SDKs.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
You say that, but I put this one through PHP Stan and cried.
Yeah, but wasn't your original one auto-generated?
Correct, and it's absolutely god awful. But yeah, so
auto-generation's coming a long way, but the original kind of auto-generation's based off of really old standards.
The auto-generation version I have of this is also multiple years old. Like I'm thinking from the first version of it, it's 2018, 19. Like things have changed in 5 years significantly.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've lost my hair, grown a beard. B8's come out.
And all I now feel is my back hurting.
Yeah, exactly. It might have been 5 years, but it feels like longer.
And in the middle, there was a pandemic. Jesus. Yeah. Okay, right.
Making 2 children, I think.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right. So we've got one last topic on here that I wanted. Well, do I pick on you for Aspen? No, we've moved on past that. No, it's streaming. Now, this one's I want to talk about because I've been doing streaming in a very terrible form for 3 years and very, very irregular. Steve, I found out about 6 months ago, had been doing it for ages, pre-pandemic, essentially. Not in the form of like what code streaming is now, but you've been doing like live work for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Why? How come you're not doing it all the time? All the questions.
Okay, so I mean, I started because I used to go and give talks at user groups. I ran a user group. It was local to me. I used to go give talks. I enjoyed it. Then I moved out of the city into kind of like the Welsh Valleys now. And there's no user group around me. And there's no one who would be interested in even going to one around here. So it was like, I need to do it remotely so that I can still get the benefit of giving talks, but online instead. But people don't want to watch you just kind of go through a slideshow clicking. So I did what I like to do and just do live code demos of let's try and solve a problem together. No planning, no editing. I'm going to make a load of mistakes. But the idea of it is to show people that no matter how long you've been a developer, you can still be shit at it. To try and break that imposter syndrome of look at all of these people on YouTube, on stage, never making a mistake, always being perfect, and just showing them, the realistic side of I make more typos than most people because I've got a split keyboard, but
how many more hipster points are you trying to earn? Not only do I use a mechanical keyboard,
it's the stand-up mouse. So hipster points are going up.
Oh, Jesus.
So
But
yeah,
okay.
that's why I started. You know, I used to do it 2 times a week for about 2 hours at a time. I've had more kids. Time isn't there.
Have more kids and a job that it's multi-time zone. So, hey, have fun with that.
Yeah. I haven't streamed for like 3 to 4 weeks because I've just been way too busy with work. I've been that busy that after I finish for the day, I spend time with the kids, put them to bed, then I've got to work again. So I've not been able to do it recently. Yeah, I'm clocking in like 12 hours, 14 hours at the moment because I'm just so busy. But
who wants to tell him off for having bad self-care?
My wife. It's just a bad habit that I've got. Like, first got into tech, I'd left the military, and I had PTSD. And the way that I dealt with my PTSD was with work. So it's just I suppose, a hangover from those days where, I don't suffer as much with PTSD anymore, but I still work just as much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now need to do something to make work more fun for Steve. Not sure what that's going to be. We'll find something.
Yeah, random. Now you got to do this.
Well, technically, this should be enjoyable for at least an hour of your day. Technically, it's work.
It is. I mean, I'm not usually a big fan of human interaction, but over the internet is fine.
It's like, my guy, I think you picked the wrong career.
I don't know. I did. Like, when I went to give a talk at Laracon EU, it was so weird. Like, I'm used to being on YouTube, doing a live stream, talking to people on the internet, and then I'm there in person, and people want to talk to you, and it's like,
have questions.
Can't you Slack me?
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason we have email. Please email me.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not really a people person. I've got, when it's online, it's different. It's, you're in your comfort zone. You can keyboard warrior it away, or you can just talk down a camera, and there's no one really there. It's binary data. There might be someone watching it later down the line, but who knows? But
that's true.
Yeah, in person for me, it's just crowds of people. I don't get on with that sort of thing.
Well, it's a good thing you're great at everything else you like doing.
Like having kids. I've got 6 of them. I'm thinking I'm going to quit tech and just open a crash.
I'm not saying
I'm halfway there.
I'm not saying diddly squid due to the fact I don't have any kids, and I still feel like I don't have enough time in my life.
Yeah, no, Ollie, I'm not going to stop having kids. I'm repopulating Wales.
But you're English. They don't want your kind there.
I'm not even English. I'm more German.
Bloody hell.
Secret German invasion.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. No, the jokes are too terrible.
They are.
Okay, right. I'm aware that Steve has a meeting soon and would probably want biohazard breaks and all that jazz. So I'm going to, for the first time ever, close this out at the hour rather than just letting it go and then go, oh, crap, we need to close it out. So Steve needs to shill some stuff. There's a reason there's an outro part, so you can shill.
Oh, go try Aspen. Get Aspen.io. It's awesome. There's a dog involved.
You need to inform people of like the limitations of Aspen. Namely, if you are a Linux user, it is unusable. If you are a Intel user, is it usable?
That is a very good question. I didn't build it.
There's still a lot of people that run Intel machines.
Really?
Yeah, me. One of my Mac Minis is an Intel machine.
Oh, up your game.
There's an M2 and an M1 as well.
That's actually a really good question. I'm not 100% sure. I know it's native built using Swift UI, and I don't know if there's any kind of
I don't know if it's backward compatible. Yeah, because I know you can make an Intel app forward compatible because of Rosetta.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the newer versions of Swift UI are backward.
That is actually a really good question. I mean, it's not doing a huge amount. It's mainly just natively making HTTP requests.
It's the instruction set for the app. Will it even just turn on?
Download and let me know.
Jesus Christ.
Try it and see.
So, yes, if you are not a Mac user, good luck, everybody. Will Aspen be coming to alternative OSs?
So, we're not sure. We want to see if people actually want it on alternative OSs before we kind of invest more time in building it. Obviously, it's a free tool that we've given to the dev community. We've got our paid products that we also need to work on. We're always releasing new things. So it's like, if people want it, sure, we'll build a Windows client and that sort of stuff. If not, fair enough. It's out as a beta release. You can make requests. It stores your history. You can do an AI chat with the request itself. But yeah, there's no form of collections yet. Yeah, we're adding JSON payload support. The reason it didn't come out in the first place is because we wanted to kind of make sure it was, you had a nice way to edit it inside the app itself. So, there's hurdles that we weren't aware of that we got to, come to terms with. We're also doing like some really cool data visualization stuff. So you can look at the JSON payload as code, or you can look at it as a kind of hierarchical data structure as a graphical form, which is it looks really cool. I've seen some demos of it. It's definitely cool. And depending on how your brain works, you might kind of grok that better than a JSON payload. So, there's some cool features planned, and the kind of multi-OS is definitely on the table for if people want it.
Okay, fair enough.
From a marketing perspective, it's better to have people asking for it than to tell them it's coming.
That is true. It's kind of like the Kickstarter approach to stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're only using it for marketing, it at least tells you where the market is.
Yeah.
Rather than over-investing first.
Yes.
I hate that works.
I know. It works well though, doesn't it?
The amount of Kickstarters I've paid in for that stuff, yes. But yes, okay. So where can people find you in the real world soon?
I'm actually going to be at PHP UK giving a talk.
I'm going to be there to troll you. I'm an attendee.
I'm giving a talk called Leveraging API Platform for Laravel Developers. So if you've seen any of my YouTube stuff recently, I've heard of API Platform years ago, but I was always under the assumption that I really got to know Symfony in depth to leverage it properly. Then I decided I'd give it a go, and I decided the best way to give it a go would be to get Kevin, who created it, to join me on a live stream as I tried it. And I was speechless. Doesn't happen very often, but it was like, wow, this is easy. It's just PHP. This is awesome. I'm going to start using it more. And then I got asked to give a talk at PHP UK. I was like, well, how about this? Because, people know me for APIs, building APIs, integrating APIs, and all the kind of API stuff that I do. Let's talk about API platform, because honestly, building APIs in Laravel feels like pulling teeth sometimes. It's like it's focused so much on being a great full stack framework. Trying to remove part of that stack is so difficult.
Well, to be fair, it's not an API stack. It is a full stack that just happens to be able to do APIs.
Yeah. It's quite painful to try and build an API. And once you've kind of... I came to Laravel from Slim PHP, and I still like quite a lot of
Slim.
Slim's nice. Like, it kind of hit 4 and became redundant because now it's just like a really good PSR wrapper. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't think there'll be a Slim 5, but who knows?
Well, Rob's not actively working on it anymore, so we're not likely to see any things.
Yeah, the new lead maintainer, Pierre, he's a really nice guy, French. Don't hold it against him.
You always will.
Always will. It's built into our blood and our DNA. No, it's just, it's like he does quite a lot of TypeScript as well, I think, from the looks of it. And when the lead maintainer of a framework is more interested in another language, it's like, okay, where's this going?
That just means they're a polyglot. That's a good thing. That means they can take the best of both worlds. I'm trying to work out what the best of JavaScript is.
Yeah, the fact that you can disable it in your browser.
Let's see how far you get with that, mate.
Yeah, these days, Jesus. I won't be able to do anything.
Okay, so that's where people can find you in the real world. You have a work thing you need to mention before you can tell people where they can find you in the digital world.
Yes, I'm actually running a hackathon in March. Treble hackathon. What we're going to be doing is it's a 3-week period where you can take part. There's 8 different projects you can choose from between March the 3rd and March 25th. And it's literally between World Book Day and partway through spring break. So the kind of projects that you can build are all very themed. It's like a spring break wellness app or a literary analysis API, that sort of thing. But the requirements are very much kind of, this is a theme, this is a topic, be creative, have some fun with it. There's going to be prizes for the top 10 people who win. Prizes vary. At the minute, we're looking at kind of educational resources and kind of that sort of stuff, like a code course, lifetime subscription for the first place winner, as well as other stuff. So it's like we're focusing on trying to get people to invest in themselves through the hackathon at the same time if they win.
I'm trying to find a link to share. You don't have it announced anywhere.
No, we don't yet. It's been like, I need to do it, but I keep getting, different priorities at work. Let me
It's a month away from March. People need to be aware.
Tell me about it. I wanted to kind of get this closed up and finished by October. I'm just going to get you the link to the GitHub discussion that I've done as like, at least I can do that.
Oh, Steve. But yes,
go.
Okay. So there is, I should drop it in the comments. There we go. Yeah. So if people want to find out about the hackathon, and they can go do it and go do good things for the world.
Yes.
Now, where can people find you, not Treble you, on the interwebs?
I am everywhere as at Just Steve King, whether that's Mastodon, GitHub, Twitter, X.
I'm not going to call it X. Fuck that.
Whatever Elon Musk is going to call it next. I'm Just Steve King everywhere.
At least yours makes more sense than mine. UK Mad is kind of, I am that everywhere, but why?
Yeah, I mean, people get confused when why Just Steve King? And long story short, I changed my name when I got married, but while I was willing to, give away my salary and everything else, I wasn't willing to give away my GitHub handle.
But okay, with the tangential that the chat is going to, that we both want to run away from, because I've already made that joke at you on the internet. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll be back later on today doing some random code with some beers. And thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks for having me. It's been great chatting.
All right. See you all on the other side of the internet.
See you later, everyone.